Hello and welcome to another episode of GB Podcast. This is Dave talking here, and today I'm going to talk about a good few things that are happening during the week. I'm probably leaving it a little bit too early to talk about this stuff because the week isn't up. So like I said, I'm still trying to get used to the schedule. When is the best time to post these episodes? I'm still finding my feet around doing a podcast. I'm still new to it, so bear with me. I know it's very amateur. It's very, very noobish. I'm still getting the hang of putting everything in the right order. So let's get started anyway. So before I get right into the podcast, I just want to briefly talk about this new quote-unquote Me Too movement that's going on right now. And I don't want to put my opinion out there too much because I'm scared to offend anyone. I don't have any bad opinions. God knows I don't. I really don't. I don't want to say something that sounds insensitive or it sounds a little bit out of whack. So all I'm going to say is that I find it's in particular it's within two mediums that I've noticed because I am passionate about these two particular mediums, and this is the gaming industry and it's the professional wrestling industry as well. A few wrestlers that I actually follow have been suspended or sacked by their respective companies because they have been found out to have sexually abused women, be it another wrestler or just an innocent friend or something like that. I don't know, a fan maybe that got involved with a wrestler. I don't know, but I think it's mostly wrestlers that are reporting these problems, and I think it's horrible, and this is happening in the gaming industry as well. So it's good to hear that these women are now using the hashtag which is known as speaking out, and it's good that these people are finally coming out of their shells to talk about this. This doesn't get discussed enough. It's like taboo. It's like, well, we don't talk about that kind of thing. Shush, shush. I'm going to call it very Irish. I'm going to call it an Irish thing. Now, I have no offence to Irish people, but I have lived in this country for almost 16 years, and I've learned so much, and I feel like I have an opinion here. What the Irish like to do is they like to hide real problems because it's taboo. We don't talk about this kind of thing. We do. Shut up. That's none of my business. That's your business. Keep that to yourself. Because I think it stems from Catholicism and that kind of thing. I mean, girls in particular over here are too scared to talk about their private information because their parents are too fucking God fearing, and it's like, you don't be talking about that. That's nothing to talk about. Now, I'm not saying that the women here are only coming out now because of religious taboos or anything like that. No, it's just taboo. I was using the Irish as an example because it reminds me of that, and that's the only example I'm giving. It just reminds me of that, and I feel with that and with this is that you shouldn't feel scared to speak out, and I'm so happy to see all these women finally using Twitter especially as a great platform for this kind of thing, using Twitter as a platform to get the message out and to finally speak your issues. Nobody will judge you for these. Nobody will judge you, and I think it's wrong to hide behind it. Get the word out there. Tell your story. Get these people reprimanded. You deserve justice for this. It's disgusting that this is going on in both industries, in any industry. It's just gaming and wrestling has surfaced in my perspective. That's because those are the two outlets that I look at. So it's became very apparent that these two industries, from my perspective, have started becoming more aware of the ins and outs of bullying, essentially, but mostly misogyny and mistreatment of women in the workplace, be it general misogynistic verbal abuse, sexual abuse, anything like that. Using these women because they're women to gain to give yourself better importance. And most of it goes ignored. And I think that's really sad and sick. So I'm happy that these women are speaking out, and I don't think it has any place in any workplace. Bullying in the workplace is wrong. Misogyny is absolutely wrong. As is misandry. You know, just be nice to each other. You know, be nice to each other. That doesn't cost anything. You know, it costs a lot to be a bully. And it costs a lot to be a liar. Believe me, I've witnessed it. And I've done it myself. I've lied. I've lied for months. And it has only came back and bit me on the arse. And I can't live with the guilt when I lie. You know, I'm not a very good liar. It doesn't last very long. I've told lies throughout my life. You know? And it's not a nice feeling to hold on to a lie. So if you lie about something and you're quite comfortable with that lie, there's something wrong with you. I'm not talking about the women holding on to the lie, and that lie being pretending everything's fine when it's not. That's not the lie I'm talking about. That's a necessary lie, because you're too scared to speak out for fear of what will happen after to you. You know, will you be reprimanded because you told the truth? Because you told the truth of what happened to you? Or will they get reprimanded? But there is strength in numbers. And I fully believe that. And it's quite clear as well. Because it's not just one person that's speaking out and getting ignored and only getting listened to by a handful. It's a handful of women, and astonishingly more than that actually, that are speaking out and getting their point across. And they're getting listened to. Why? Because they're using the hashtag speaking out. And now the gaming industry is starting to surface with this kind of thing as well, and I think that's also disgusting. You know? Get them reprimanded, take them to court if you have to, you know? Do your best to make sure that it all goes in your favour. Don't stand for bullies. I fucking hate bullies. Absolutely hate them. I grew up being bullied. Now, I wasn't severely bullied to the point where I get that I'm now depressed and I hate everything. But what it has done is that it's made me a little bit of an introvert. You know, I don't like people. You know, people annoy me. And I feel there's no point in being nice to people. No, I'm not nasty to people. What I mean by that is I don't see the point in me giving someone time when they're just going to hurt me just worse. Like, you know, it's hard to explain. But what I'm basically saying is it's made me resent people because I can't take a joke. I can't take... I take things to heart a lot. I can't tell when someone's joking. You know, I always have this weird thing where I can't believe a joke without thinking there is some nasty intent behind it. In other words, what I'm saying is, when someone slags me off or says something horrible to me in a joking way, any other normal person will just brush it off and go, haha, that's funny, you slagged an imperfection of me, and that's great, that's banter. I get that, you know, loads of people do it, and I understand it. But when it happens to me, I don't catch on. When someone makes a nasty joke to me, I always think that jokes come from real feelings. Jokes come from real thoughts. Otherwise, how would you come up with a joke in the first place? And I always think that when people says a joke to me at my expense, even though I'm supposed to take it as a joke, I cannot find that part of the brain that allows me to take it as a joke. Sometimes I am. It just depends on what mood I'm in. And it also depends on what friend it is. You know, my fiancée can slag me to the high heavens. She has slagged me so many times. She has said the most horrible things to me in a joking manner, and I can take that as a joke. Sometimes, most of the time, I can take it as a joke. There have been times where I haven't been able to take it as a joke, and she's given me shit for it, like, because I should know the kind of person she is, and I know the kind of person she is. You know, she wouldn't go out her way to hurt my feelings, and I wouldn't go out my way to hurt her feelings. She gives just as much as I give as well. You know, I'm capable of giving someone a slagging, but there are some moments where I'll give someone a slagging that I don't know would be comfortable with that slagging, and I'll be sitting there thinking, did I go too far? And that's what I think when someone slags me. I automatically think they've gone too far, and I can't. I'm trying to work on it. But my point I'm making is that I'm incapable of taking jokes. I'm incapable of being slagged. And if I think that's bad, I can't imagine what it's like to be personally attacked by an employer. Never mind a friend or a co-worker, but an employer. And a co-worker, or anyone, in fact. There's no place for it. If you're suffering from mental health issues, from being bullied in the workplace, especially if you're a woman, you now have an opportunity to speak up and get these people in trouble, because liars will always have karma, and I fully believe that because it's happened to me. There's no such thing as a good liar. Nobody's a good liar, because I believe in karma, and it could take a year, it could take a week, it could take 2 years, it could take a decade, it could take 50 years for a lie to come back and bite you in the face. You know? You might sit in the comfort of the next 20 years thinking, nothing will happen to me. But give it 20 years, and then the lie will come back and hit you in the face, and that is when that's why I believe in karma. You know, Sammy Guevara got in trouble for... Now, I get the context. I don't believe he should have said it within the confines of Twitter. He should have said it within the confines of his mates. He shouldn't have said it at all. It's a rotten thing to say. You know, pick and choose your pick and choose your sentences. Pick and choose your words. You know, if you're sexually attracted to a woman, or if you're talking, right, it's very typical of a group of lads to sit around a table in a pub and say things like, oh, did you see Martha the other day? Oh, she was absolutely fucking smoking. I would have jumped on her the second I got, right? That's just something you say towards your mates. It's disgusting. I get that, but that's just quote unquote lad culture. That's just the way they are. It's the way they are. You know, we're idiots. You know, we can't keep our mouths shut. But we do it within the confines of our mates. It never leaves the group. And you know, and it's probably forgotten about later on that day. But don't do that on Twitter. Because the things that Sammy Guevara said about Sasha Banks 4 years ago, like, and this is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say. Karma is a bitch, and I fully believe in it. Because people are trying to stick up for Sammy Guevara by saying it was 4 years ago. Get over it. No, it doesn't work like that. You don't just get to say something, have it be forgotten about for 4 years, and that's it, got on with your life. It doesn't work like that. Sammy Guevara used the term rape to describe what he wanted to do to Sasha Banks. Now, I know, and I'm sure a lot of people know, that is not what his intent really was. Of course, any like-minded person is not going to seek out to sexually abuse or sexually assault someone unless there's something wrong with you. You're not going to do that. And I fully believe that Sammy Guevara wouldn't really do that. I don't think he would have. Right? But that is not the problem. The problem is there are a lot of people here who would believe that he would. and that will say those words for it to be taken out of context for media outlets to abuse. And that is why I say, don't say things like that on Twitter at any given moment, because you don't know what's around the corner. What happened to Sammy Guevara is exactly what I was talking about a minute ago. Karma coming back to bite you on the arse. You might say something horrible and leave it, and you might think everything's fine, but the wrong person will see it, and it'll come right back round. It'll circle and come straight back to you. And that is why you should always watch what you say in public, especially in public, you know. Say these nasty shit amongst your pals, because that's what it's there for, you know. Save your niceties for when you're away from your mates, when you're actually being a nice person. Because what you're doing amongst your mates is just being banter. But don't translate that to Twitter. It doesn't work that way. And it's comments like that that doesn't help when things like this surface with news of women being verbally assaulted or verbally abused and sexually abused by co-workers and, colleagues and superiors and bosses and supervisors. There's no place like that. Or there's no place for it, should I say. So, be nice to each other. Do you know what I mean? And I'm really happy that these women have came forward and spoke up. Because we need that. And we need it to keep happening. I know I've always said that we live in a world full of snowflakes. But there are bad snowflakes and there are good snowflakes. And the bad snowflakes are just looking for things to be offended by. The good snowflakes are people that are finally speaking up and standing up for themselves after generations of mistreatment. And I think it's wrong. We don't live in the 1910s anymore. We don't live in that world anymore where women got, freely mistreated and nothing was said about it. We don't live in that world anymore. It's time to stand up. Equal rights and all that shit. You know what I mean? Be nice to each other. And that's all anyone can ask. So good on these women for standing up for themselves. So keep doing it. Get these bastards reprimanded. Get them in trouble. And that's it. Next topic. Let's talk about Mixer. Now, I've used streaming platforms before. I've used YouTube. I may have used Mixer at one point. I've used PlayStation Live. I've used Twitch. I think I said that already. But if I haven't, I have. But I've never really actually used Mixer, so I can't really say too much about it. But for whatever reason, Mixer is now getting bought out, or whatever the case is. But it's shutting down, and Microsoft is partnering with Facebook Gaming. I think that's what it was. Microsoft calls it a strategic move for the future of xCloud. So Microsoft are happy with it, but a lot of streamers are not happy with it. And I'm looking at this article on The Verge, and they said that Microsoft has talked about reaching 2 billion gamers with its vision for xCloud, but Mixer wasn't in a strong enough position to achieve or to help achieve that goal. They said, when we think about xCloud and the opportunity to unlock gameplay for 2 billion players, we know it's going to be critically important that our services find large audiences, and Facebook clearly gives us that opportunity. And this is Phil Spencer talking. I don't know how the monetization aspect of Mixer works. I don't know how you get paid for it. I don't know anything about that. To be honest, I don't really care. See my first episode for that detail. But apparently there's a few streamers that are going back to Twitch. Now it says here that Ninja and other mixed streamers will be free to return to Twitch. Now I don't know what that means. Were they banned? Is that what it is? Now I understand using a different platform because you don't agree with the methods or the the way another platform works. I mean, God knows, if there was another platform that was similar to YouTube or a competitor to YouTube, I'd be on it straight away. If I could get out of YouTube, I would do it in a heartbeat, because I cannot stand YouTube's methods. I can't stand their algorithm. I can't stand the fact that they just want certain things for their website which everyone has to adhere to if they want to get their stuff noticed. I think it's disgusting. It doesn't give smaller channels a chance. You know, basically, if you're not big going in, you're fucked. That's what I think. It's like, I think PewDiePie was asked, and he always gets asked this, and I think it's a sad question. How do I get big on YouTube? How do I make it on YouTube? And his words were, it's pure luck. And I fully agree with that. It's just pure luck. If you're consistent with how you share your content, it's only a matter of time before one person or one source spots that and shares it themselves. You know, it could take one video could just make or break it, or one video could just be that video. You know, 1 second of a video can be that moment, and it could be anything. I mean, for God's sake, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but it's all about sharing content, and in regards to Mixer and Twitch, it's about sharing content and being told where you can and can't go. But what I'm saying is that in terms of sharing content, it's so typical that I have built my YouTube channel based off of video game content and nothing but video game content. I try my best to keep it as close to what it is I try to do, which is which is video game reviews, let's plays, you know, opinions in the gaming community. Do you know, I keep it very closed in on gaming content, and most of it is me doing my reviews. Those are the videos that take the most effort. They're the ones where I'm at my most creative. They're the ones that I spend the most time on. That's why there's only like a few reviews out there, because it takes a lot of time and I've got a lot of things to do away from YouTube. So it does take a while. But in terms of videos that don't take any effort, those are sadly the videos that I've got the most views on, and I hate it. My most viewed video is a video that I didn't even try. My most viewed video is a stupid 1 minute video of FIFA International Soccer and footage of the referee chasing you. It's like a glitch. If you get a yellow card on FIFA International Soccer, or FIFA 94 as it's sometimes called, if you get a yellow card on that, the referee will approach you, and there's some times where you will tackle a player that will warrant a booking, and there's this little window you have to actually still control the player. You can use that window to run away from the referee, and the referee will chase you, and it can happen as long as you choose it to happen. It's one of the most famous glitches on those old FIFA games, and it's probably one of the biggest glitches I know of in those old FIFA games. And unfortunately, that video is my most viewed video. It has 25,000 views, and it was only recently, until about a year and a half ago, where I actually, now I don't get paid for my YouTube videos anyway, but I actually got a copyright infringement notice because the song I used is a song that I didn't make. So because it actually gained attention, it's 25,000 views strong. It's my most viewed video. My second most viewed video is, funnily enough, the first ever review I ever did, aka the worst ever review I did. It's my review of Flashback for the Mega Drive, and funnily enough, my third most viewed video, which is one I'm a little bit more proud of. It's the Sega Mega Drive Classics Collection. It's not a review, it's just me taking a look at the new update that happened with the Mega Drive collection on Steam, where they did a 3D bedroom aesthetic. And then my fourth most viewed video, which is the one that has gotten the most views in the smallest length of time, it's another video that isn't even something that took effort, and I hate it, because it's a video where I tested the input lag on the same Mega Drive collection, this time on Switch. It's got 4.7 thousand views as of a year ago, which is a lot, and it's still getting views to this day, and it still gets comments to this day. And I hate that the ones I've put the least effort in are the ones that people seem to watch. And I don't know if that means I need to go and change up the way I do my content. Do I need to review newer games? I don't know. I tend to just review whatever game is in my mind at the time, whatever game I'm thinking of at the time, what game that seems the most relevant to me at the time. I could have just recently played it, do you know? And I always make sure I review a game that I know well. I'm not just going to review a game, and I'm not just going to play a game for 10 minutes and then just have the rest of the content speak for itself. I actually do put effort into the time I put in games. But I've gone way off topic. I'm supposed to be talking about Mixer and Microsoft teaming up with Facebook, and it's strange. I don't know if you're teaming up with Facebook, fine, but I don't know why you would do it now. I mean, the Xbox Series X isn't out for another few. I suppose it actually is a lot closer than I was expecting. So, yeah, well, we'll see how this happens. I mean, I don't use Mixer, so I can't really say too much about it. And I suppose that's probably why I went off on a tangent. I probably shouldn't have even put this as a topic, but there you are. So, in other words, Mixer is discontinued, and Microsoft has now partnered with Facebook Gaming, and that is one of the other ways you can stream your content. Or you can just go back to Twitch or YouTube. So I've touched on those, the speaking out hashtag. Right, Electronic Arts are a funny bunch. First of all, they've renewed their Madden license for another 5 or 6 years. This was spoken about 2 weeks ago or about a week ago. I'm not surprised, but it doesn't deteriorate the fact that it's annoying that the NFL license still has to be stuck on EA. I think it's not fair to the millions of fans that are passionate about that sport, and the only way they can play is by buying Madden. And Madden in and of itself, just like FIFA, has just become this casino, this stupid excuse to go on the stock market. I think. Is EA on the stock market? I don't know. I'm not American. We don't follow that kind of thing. But EA, in other words, they don't cater to fans. They cater to shareholders. They cater to those who have financial stakes on their company. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's wrong. EA is a video game developer, and they're acting like they are a business conglomerate. And yeah, they are a business. I get that, but they are catering to men in suits than they are to the general consumer. You know, the nobodies that spend their fucking wages on their games. You know, their fucking minimum wages go on to their fucking games every year. They should be catered to the likes of us, and we're spending our money on those games. We should have a say on what gets improved on each game that comes out. Surely we have a say in that. They are making little to no effort with these games, and I'm including FIFA in this as well. You know, I've stopped playing FIFA. I haven't played FIFA in 5 months. I know I've played Pro Evolution Soccer a couple of times. I mean, you can see some of my content on YouTube and Twitch. I mean, I only played it for a bit. But like, it took me about 6 months or 7 months to buy Pro Evolution Soccer 2020. I think I bought FIFA 20 on launch, but honestly, I think it was disposable income that made me buy that game. I didn't think I had anything else to buy at that time. I don't remember. But it's become a tradition for me to buy at least one football game every year. And like an idiot, I'll buy it and then I'll play it for like 2 weeks, if anything, and then I'll stop for months, and I might go back to it near the end of the season because it's becoming the end of the season. Football fever is in because the season's nearly over. Teams are getting to the end of the league. People are getting excited of their team winning the Champions League. So football fever becomes an all-time high around August, and then for me it dimmers down a bit during the winter transfer, and then it goes up again when it's near the end of the season, coming into the summer transfer, and the summer transfer window, and that's normally when those are normally the two spots where I will start playing FIFA again. So it'll be around September, October, November ish. Then it'll dimmer down a little bit, and then I'll pick it up again near the end of spring, going into summer. And if there's a tournament on during the summer, it's when I'm encouraged to play it for a little bit longer. But there's a number of factors that have led me to just not really bother with FIFA in the last, or any football game in the last few months. One of them being COVID-19 for a start. I mean, COVID-19 has just brought football almost entirely off of broadcast, so nobody's able to watch football. The fever's not there, for me at least, and so COVID-19 is definitely one of the reasons why I haven't played FIFA. But another reason is that I'm thinking to myself, what's the point? What's the point? I think I'm not promising this. I'm probably going to be wrong. There's probably going to be some daft feature that FIFA 21 comes out with that's going to make me go, yeah, I'll buy it just to play that feature. For me, it was last year with FIFA 20 and the Volta mode, otherwise known as the FIFA Street mode. I mean, I have been clamouring for the Street mode to come into FIFA for years, and I finally got it, so I owed it to myself to buy it, but it turned out to be okay. It turned out to be an okay mode that was plagued by microtransactions, and that is another reason why I feel a little bit let down by FIFA, is that I think I've had enough in regards to FIFA not improving in any other aspect other than its FIFA Ultimate Team mode, and this goes with Madden as well. EA do not listen to the general consumer, they listen to shareholders, and in other words, they focus on what makes them money. And back in the day, it used to be just FIFA and FIFA alone that made them money. You know, the occasional downloadable content, like the World Cup mode being tacked on. That would cost you an extra €10, I think. Now it's free whenever it's on, or something like that. I can't remember. But, things like that. You'd buy FIFA every year and that was it. And people sitting there saying video games have become more expensive to make. I'm sorry, I don't understand how that is a valid argument when you consider FIFA and Madden that somehow are able to meet their deadline every single year like clockwork. They rarely ever get delayed. And do you know why they rarely ever get delayed? Because they are reusing the same engine, the same assets, the same content that they have been plumping into their games for the past 10 years at least. Or at least since the Frostbite engine was brought in. And do you know what's funny about the Frostbite engine? They brought that into FIFA like it was this big thing. And it turns out that it's to the average consumer, the average Joe, you would never have noticed. Like I said, it's consumers that play these games, and shareholders don't. Shareholders just want to make money, so they'll use buzzwords to reel the player in. Oh, look, new advanced dribbling animations. Trust me, if you've played FIFA in the last 5 or 6 years or so, you've seen how FIFA gets played. Ping pong, constant passing. It's a fucking race to the net It's a race to strike the ball as hard and fast as possible. You want to do all the fancy skill moves. You are not paying attention to the fucking dribbling animation. Trust me, there's not one instance where there is someone playing FIFA, or Madden for that matter, and they've sat there and they've played, oh, I really like the dribbling animation in this. Oh, I really like the way the player moves his right foot as he moves the ball to the right side of his ball. Get royally fucked. There's no way that happens. No way. You know, this, like I said, it baffles me. They are able to have that game out like clockwork on the same day or same date every single year without delay because they're reusing the same assets, same visuals, same everything with very light improvements that are not taxing to their development schedule, that don't take any effort. And that is how they are able to only take about 12 months to make the next game, because what they do is they use the previous game as a template and they just slightly build off of that. You've obviously got to add in more players and different rosters. You've got to appease to that. You've got to keep the rosters updated. Okay? That's not taxing on the development. The engine doesn't get changed, so it looks the same from a graphical standpoint. It has looked the same for the past 7 years. FIFA hasn't changed in 7 years. The gameplay is... I do apologise for that. The gameplay has only ever slightly been tweaked, and only the biggest fans or the most frequent of players will notice on a yearly basis. And it's always going to be the same feedback when the game first comes out. Oh, I don't like the way this game plays. It's just it's either worse than the last one or it's the same. It's never better. And it's took me so many years to come to this realization that FIFA and Madden for this instance, just there needs to be something that I would be happy if they brought out a game called FIFA. Just FIFA. Not FIFA 20, not FIFA 21, not FIFA 22, just FIFA. And have that be the game. That is the FIFA game. And the only thing they have to do is update it every year, update their jerseys every year, just update everything. Have everything that was already in the game the previous year still in it. Just put in more stuff as the years go on. It's a slow development process, but you're using the template that you have already used and you're building on it as the years go. Don't change it. Don't change it for at least 5 years. There's no need to. You know? Call it FIFA. And if you plan on changing something or overhauling it, wait until 5 or 6 years and call it FIFA 2. And in the next 5 or 6 years, call it FIFA 3. Just update the roster every so often. Update tweak the gameplay. Perfect it. Use your consumers' feedback. The same goes with Madden. I don't know why you don't just make the next one and call it Madden, and call the next one after that Madden 2. You know, reboot these franchises. Or at the very least, if you've got the license to use it, give it to someone else who can do it better. I personally think that Pro Evolution Soccer from a gameplay perspective suits me better than what FIFA does at the moment. FIFA is just way too fast paced, but it's still a good game, but it's a good game if you want to play fast paced football. I don't care about realism. I just care about fun. And while FIFA does have its fun moments, Pro Evolution Soccer is a little bit more paced out for me. the best way I can describe Pro Evolution Soccer as opposed to FIFA is Pro Evolution Soccer allows you to have breathing space when you're playing. And if that makes it more realistic, I guess it does. Because when you're watching a real football match, you have space to breathe when you're watching it. You know, it's very slow going at the start. It's strategy and all that. You don't really get that in FIFA. In FIFA, it's just fast paced. It's brutal. It's so quick. You know, everyone wants to score goals as fast as possible, as quick as possible, as many as possible. You know, I mean, I am not impressed when I see someone sharing a screenshot of FIFA and that they bet someone 10-1. I am not impressed by that at all. All that means is that you probably just abused a certain system in the game, a certain mechanic, and you just played like that for the whole game. You probably played so fast. Like I said, you're trying to score goals as much as possible. You've probably put 4 strikers up front, or at least 2 strikers and 2 front wingers, with 2 central attacking midfielders and 3 defenders, and 1 central defender or central midfielder. You know, and that's what I don't like about FIFA. I mean, I'm in the mood for both games when it suits me, but lately I've been more drawn towards Pro Evolution Soccer, despite the fact that I took about 7 months to buy it this season. But it's only because I fell out with sports games lately, because they just don't change. And I'm not sure, it depends on what FIFA 21 delivers. I can't see it improving on anything. But this might be the first time I skip FIFA. I've already skipped Madden 3 times. I've got Madden 18 and I still have it. I do not have Madden 19. I do not have Madden 20. I like Madden 18 because I don't need to worry about jersey updates. I don't need to worry about roster updates because I haven't got a fucking clue who any of them are. My problem with FIFA is that I kind of need the roster updates because it's only a matter of time before the previous FIFA's servers are dead and you can no longer update your roster, customized, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So you kind of have to rely on the next FIFA so that they don't shut the servers down. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. I buy a FIFA every year to keep up with the roster because in regards to football, I do pay attention to who plays for who, and I do pay attention to the aesthetics of the jerseys. I do pay attention to all that, and it's a curse. It's an absolute curse. But in regards to Madden, NHL, even NBA to an extent, I have no desire to buy the next entry this year. In terms of FIFA, I don't know. I'll probably buy the latest Pro Evolution Soccer. I'll see how I feel. But with the option file in Pro Evolution Soccer, it gives a little bit more leeway on how I can keep the longevity going for Pro Evolution Soccer, because at least then I can use the option file to update the jerseys. At least then I can use the option file to update the roster. I've been able to do that for decades in Pro Evolution Soccer. With FIFA, you can't really do that. Because with roster updates in FIFA, you need the servers. For Pro Evolution Soccer, you need a USB stick. And that sounds a little bit more appealing to me. But regards to Madden, I couldn't care less who plays for who. I just enjoy Madden as a game. And I'm happy the way it is right now. Thank God. Because if I was a big time Madden fan, I probably would be really pissed off. And my basis for how pissed off a Madden fan is no further than Angry Joe Vargas. He adores American football. He adores the sport over there. He adores the Madden games. So as a passionate fan, I can see his anger. I appreciate the passion he has for that sport, and I see and I get the anger he has for Electronic Arts. And it's sad that no matter what happens on a yearly basis, EA do not allow themselves time to fix the games that we are clamouring them to fix. They just keep adding extra shit that we never asked for or that we already had. They've taken them out and then they've put them back in. Do you know what I mean? and then they act like it's new features, or they'll reword it into something else, and that fools the general consumer because they don't know any better, do they? I'm not calling them stupid, but your average Joe who isn't a big gamer, who only plays Call of Duty, Fortnite and FIFA, isn't going to give a fuck about what changes you make. All they want is a new FIFA game with the latest roster updates, and that is all EA cares about. But there's a lot of die-hard fans out there, like myself, who want to see change, and we're not going to get that. Now, this was not what I was planning on talking about when it came to Electronic Arts. What I was going to talk about was the fact that they were doubling down on more Star Wars games. And I don't have much to say about that. I mean, in a way, it's like, yeah, that's good. You're making more Star Wars games. The last one you published was Dynamite, Jedi Fallen Order. Brilliant game. Absolutely loved it. It's exactly what us Star Wars fans want in a video game. And if they're doubling down on more Star Wars games, that's great. But do not fucking drop the ball like you did with Battlefront 2. You can't do that again. If you do that again, you are absolutely psychotic. After the shit you pulled with Battlefront 2, after the amount of backlash you received, the non-apologies, the walk back, the 180, the massive changes you made to make that game halfway acceptable. You can't go back on that with any other games. You are fucking... Oh, I'm sure they'll find something to squeeze money out of players, but I'm happy there's going to be more Star Wars games. I'm on edge that they're being published by EA. The developer is another word I don't know about. But I'm open to it. I just know that once they fuck up one Star Wars game again, that's it. They're done. We will not... I can't see people giving in to them a second time, if there ever was any less. And that's my rant about Electronic Arts. Let's get into the announced games for the week, or over the past week. I've only got 3 that stood out to me. I mean, I could probably open up something and get more. That would be a good idea, but 3 have came to my mind, and that are coming out either this week or at some point during the year. But ones that have stood out to me are games that have either came out this week or coming out this week. Yeah, so I'll start with ones that I don't know that much about. There's a game called The Almost Gone. It's supposed to be coming out on June the 25th, but God knows. It's coming out for PC, iOS and Nintendo Switch. A visual novel is coming out on the Nintendo Switch called Collar X Malice. And then there's a game coming out on June the 24th called Ninjala on the Nintendo Switch, which is exclusive. Little Town Hero on PS4 coming out on June the 23rd. Also coming out on PC on the 30th of June. Pokemon Cafe Mix is coming out on June the 23rd on Nintendo Switch and iOS. And here's a game that came out... Actually, that Pokemon Cafe game and Little Town Hero came out today, apparently. I could be wrong. But SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. That came out today and received mixed reviews. I'm talking 6s out of 10s, thereabouts, a bit less. So, in other words, middle of the road, okay. Not great. But what were you expecting from a licensed cartoon? Burnout Paradise Remastered came out last week on Switch, and I was about to buy it this week, thinking it would be no more than $19.99 or €19.99 or £19.99. Nope. It's on Nintendo Switch, and you know what that means? 55 fucking quid. for a 11-year-old game. That is 20 quid at the dearest everywhere else. In fact, it's on sale a lot. Now, I already have Burnout Paradise Remastered on PS4 and I got it for €20, I think. It's a joke. How do they justify that? It got a 79 on Metacritic, which means majority of outlets liked it. And of course you would. It's Burnout Paradise. It's a fantastic game. Great game. But ugh. Now, games that are coming out that I haven't mentioned yet, or that get announced at least. I'll start with lesser known, well, not lesser known, but a bit confusing. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is getting a remaster and it's coming to Switch, and I'm assuming it's coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Now, I'm confused by that because of all Need for Speed games, why are they remastering that? At the very least, why aren't you making a game that's kind of like Underground? I would like a Underground 3. That would be good. And I suppose Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, now by the way, this is the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit that came out 10 years ago. This isn't the original Hot Pursuit that actually had 2 or 3 sequels, or 1 sequel. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit was rebooted in 2010 for PS3, Xbox 360 and PC, and it was actually really good. In fact, I think it was one of the best Need for Speed games at that point. Okay, then I guess I do understand why they're remastering it. Funnily enough, I actually just recently bought it on Steam, the original game from 2010, not the remaster. I bought that on Steam a few weeks ago, and it's just as fun now as it was back then. So I'm kind of not surprised it's getting a remaster. I'm just surprised that it's getting a remaster now. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It seems a bit random. It seems like they've just put a bunch of games that they've published in a tombola. They've spun it around and they've picked one out with a blindfold and it says Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, you're remastering this. I don't know, it seemed a bit weird. But I'm happy nonetheless. It's coming out later this year. And I'll probably get it like a chump. But not the Switch version, because it'll probably be $49.99 on that. God. Crash Bandicoot 4 got announced. And I didn't even know it got announced. Well, I did know it got announced, but I didn't know it was real. Someone posted a picture, a screenshot of Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. And I thought it was a joke. I thought people were just joking, saying, where the hell is the next Crash Bandicoot game? But it turns out, no, it's real. Crash Bandicoot 4 has been announced. It's called Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, and is coming out this year. Now, it's interesting that it's called Crash Bandicoot 4. I personally thought it would have been called Crash Bandicoot 5. Because in my mind, now there's been plenty of Crash Bandicoot games, but the one that I remember the most, obviously I remember Crash Bandicoot 1, and I remember Crash Bandicoot 2, and I remember Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. In regards to the 4th Crash Bandicoot game, I had it in my head that it was Crash Bandicoot The Wrath of Cortex. Now, I suppose there is a reason why they haven't called it Crash 5, and I think I might have figured that out. Crash Bandicoot The Wrath of Cortex was developed by Traveller's Tales and not Naughty Dog. Now, Crash Bandicoot was then bought by Activision, and they have the rights to the original trilogy, and basically all Naughty Dog published Crash Bandicoot games. So I think it's those games that they are doing a sequel on. So that makes sense. So Crash Bandicoot 4 is a direct sequel to Crash Bandicoot Warped. So that makes sense. Wrath of Cortex is the 4th main installment, but it wasn't exclusive to PlayStation, and Yeah, now I'm looking at it. It says it's picking up not long after the events of Crash 3. So I suppose the only real reason I could give it is that it wasn't published by Naughty Dog or developed by Naughty Dog. So as a result, it doesn't count as the Naughty Dog trilogy, I suppose, or as part of the Naughty Dog franchise. Am I overthinking this? I probably am. In any case, Crash Bandicoot 4 is announced. I'm happy about it. I've still got to beat Crash 2 and 3 on the Insane Trilogy. I've yet to do that because I'm a perfectionist and I'm an idiot. Because I'm trying to perfect the games by getting everything and I keep restarting them when I could just play it and have fun and not worry about the collectibles. But that's just me. Also, announced today as I make this podcast, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 got announced today. And I couldn't be happier because I've stopped the game. I've stopped the original game halfway through. Oh wait now. Curse of the Moon is the 2D one. The 8-bit one. Ah. Now. Well then. Huh. I thought that... Oh, there's a trailer. I'll have a look at it. Just bear with me. It's the same guy that did Castlevania. So he's still on board. 25th anniversary of what? Brilliant, fantastic. I am so happy about that. So they're actually making a sequel to the 8-bit styled game, which is Curse of the Moon. I thought it was Ritual of the Night for some daft reason. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. I am really excited for that because Curse of the Moon was one of the best 2D platform action games that I had ever played in a long time. The game is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really happy that there's going to be a sequel. Excellent. Can't wait for that. Does that mean there's going to be a Ritual of the Night too that's going to carry on from that and use the same art style for that? Because, I don't know how you would do that. But if Curse of the Moon takes a lot of inspirations from Castlevania 3, what's Curse of the Moon 2 going to take a lot of inspiration for? That would be an interesting one, actually. Very interesting. Oh, I'm excited. Oh, yes, boy. Didn't know that. Okay, so Curse of the Moon 2 getting a sequel. Thought it was a sequel to Ritual of the Night. Now, my final topic is something I didn't know I was going to talk about until I actually started hitting record, because I'm not ready to talk about it yet because I'm still halfway through the game and it's an emotional roller coaster, and that is The Last of Us 2. Zero spoilers, don't worry. I am not going to spoil the game. I'm just going to vaguely describe my opinion so far. The Last of Us 2, so far, from what I've been playing, I'm about 15 hours into the game. And so far, it's my game of the year. So far. I don't know what's going to beat it. I mean, I think I'm picking up Ghosts of Tsushima in July. I say I think I am, because I had no plans on buying it on release. But my birthday's in July. Maybe I'll get it, whatever. I digress. The Last of Us 2, so far, is my game of the year for a number of reasons. First of all, and I am fully safe in saying this, even though I'm halfway through it plays better than the original. Much better. There's a lot of things that it does in regards to quality of life things. Just, I mean, you can go prone. which is great. You know, there's tall grass in the game. You can go prone. It's much easier to hide from enemies. There is a difficulty scaler. Now, I don't think it was in the original. In the original, I never went into difficulty and changed it on the fly. But in this one, when you go into difficulty to change it, you can change certain aspects of the difficulty to suit your playstyle. And it can be difficulty of enemies can be up, but your collections for, like, for example, like your weapon ammo, you know, supplies, supplements, and all that stuff to keep you, you know, those kind of items, you know, you can increase the frequency on how much you get of them. So if you put it all the way up, you will get less bullets. If you put it all the way down, you get more bullets, you know, and that goes with weapon crafting items and all that stuff as well. I've put it down a notch because I find myself wasting ammo way too many times and I cannot get out of that habit. I'm not very good at the stealth aspect. I try my best, but sometimes it just, or most of the time, it just ends in a big shootout. And the reason why it ends in a big shootout is because sometimes I think I've cleared the area because there's like 4 enemies in this one area, and I think I've cleared them all by killing them silently. And then just when I've done it, I see 4 more enemies in the distance that are coming towards me, and I'm like, I don't have the patience for that. There is one other aspect about the game that it's not necessarily a spoiler as it's already been established, so I'm quite safe in saying this. It's dogs are in the game, and dogs can be killed. And I hate it. I hate it that they can. I would rather you didn't kill them at all. I would rather if you shot their owner, they would run away and not come back. But unfortunately, dogs are in the game. They don't wander on their own though. They are always with their owner. Their owner sicks the dog on you if he sees you, or the dog will sniff you out. You can alleviate that by throwing glass bottles away, and they'll go and look for the glass bottle, but it doesn't last very long. They'll come looking for you again. I don't like that you can kill them. I would rather you couldn't. I would rather the dog just run away. I would rather the dogs weren't in it at all. Now, Neil Druckmann said before the game came out, don't panic, you don't have to kill the dogs apart from one situation, which is a quick time event. Now, that's all well and good, and I would have been prepared to believe that, except for the fact that even though you don't have to kill the dogs, the game doesn't make it very easy for you to avoid killing them. Because once they see you, they will not stop until they kill you. And they will be a nuisance throughout your entire engagement with other enemies. You've also got to make sure that once you kill the owner, the dog will mull over his dead body and cry, which is heartbreaking as well. And that kind of gives you more freedom to move around without the dog getting you, but the dog can still see you and can still charge at you at any given moment that is presented to them. So which means even though you've killed the owner and the dog is mulling over the dead body, you still have to be careful the dog doesn't see you. And it for me as a dog lover, I am not an advocate for no violence against dogs or animals in video games. If you want to put that feature in the game, that's perfectly fine, as long as you do it in the right context. In this case, it's a post-apocalyptic world, it's dangerous, and dogs are dangerous. You gotta kill them. But I prefer not to. So it's gotten to a stage where I've been playing the game long enough that I'm getting more desensitized by it, but not 100% desensitized. I still try and avoid killing the dog. I mean, it's gotten to a stage now where if I come across an area where there is a couple of dogs, I will try my best to just... I have no intention of going stealthy, because once I've killed the owner, the game's afoot, and the dog will see me eventually. So I just lose my patience. If I come into an area that's got a dog, I will clear the whole area out and run for the exit to the next area. If I'm trapped, then... which I'm never actually trapped, actually, so no, that's not the case. I'm never trapped. You have the option of completely avoiding enemies and continuing forward, which is what I did on one occasion because I accidentally, when I was getting quite far into the encounter, I finished that encounter by killing everyone there and moved on to the next encounter. And then I mucked up on that encounter and I intended on reloading from that encounter to try again. But what I accidentally did was reloaded the checkpoint that I last saved at, which is an autosave, and it brought me back to the previous encounter at the very start of it. So I'm like, fuck this. So I ran right through. But that doesn't mean the checkpoint system isn't forgiving. It very much is a very forgiving checkpoint system. You could move a couple of inches, kill 2 enemies, and the game will autosave it there for you. Do you know, it's very generous, very forgiving. There's 2 types of reloads you can do. There's 3 types of reloads you can do, actually. You can manually load any save game that you've done, obviously. You can load an autosave, obviously. You can reload checkpoints, and you can reload encounters. Now, the difference between checkpoints and encounters is a checkpoint is you could kill, so say there's an area with 10 enemies. You kill 4. The game will autosave that. And if you reload the checkpoint, it'll go back to that part. If you reload the encounter, it will bring you back to the beginning of before you started killing everyone. Just in case you wanted to change a strategy or you weren't satisfied. I don't think the game punishes you for not being stealthy. The game very much encourages you to play in whatever way you see fit. And that's why I like the difficulty sliders as well. So you can change the difficulty of enemies. You can change... Oh, there's other things you can change as well. Hold on. There's other things you can change as well, such as like how much damage you take from enemies. You can change the accuracy of enemy gunfire. I mean, you can make them fire guns horribly at you, giving you a chance to run away. You can change how well your allies behave, how good they are. Are they more? You can make them more helpful. You can make them shite bags. You know, you can make them as aggressive or as weak as you like. You can change how stealth works for you. You can make the stealth elements difficult or easy as well. So you can actually change how easy it is for you to get spotted when you're in stealth mode. So, like, if you could put that all the way down to the lowest bar, it means that the game is going to be super easy in regards to getting away from enemies. They will never see you, almost. And when they do see you, you can kill them without alerting anyone else. And then there's the resources difficulty, which is what I already mentioned. You know, you put it up, you get less supplies, which makes it difficult and harder for you to upgrade your weapons in the way that you want. It also makes it harder for you to upgrade other aspects as well, such as like your stealth abilities. You know, you've got to work harder to get those upgrades, or if you have to start a new game, I'm assuming there's going to be a new game plus by the time I finish this, because otherwise, why would it? Well, The Last of Us 1 had a new game plus. I'm assuming this one will have it as well. And in regards to story, I'm really enjoying the plot so far. The only thing I'm scared of is if something underwhelming happens at the end. But I'm usually satisfied by the end of games like this, because I'm very easily pleased. I normally just like games the way they are. I mean, what I mean by that is I accept games for what they are. You know, I play the game for what it is. I don't watch movies or play games and imagine them going a certain way and then being really annoyed that it didn't go that way, because not everyone has my brain. Not everyone has my imagination. So why would I imagine a game or a film or a TV show ending in a certain way, and if it doesn't happen, I'd be annoyed? The director and the showrunners don't share the same imagination as me. They have the imagination to do the ending in a way that they see fit, that they want to do, that makes sense to them. And I'm happy with that, right? If I wanted something to go my way, I would make it myself. But I'm watching and playing these games to see what the director had in mind, what the story writers had in mind. What did they do? I'm watching their story. And the reason why I'm expounding on that is because it's obvious that I am responding to those that think the story is absolute garbage without having actually played the game. You know, I mean, Brian Altano from IGN had said, if you have seen the spoilers and the leaks leading up to playing this game, you ain't seen nothing yet. So what he's basically saying is, yeah, you've probably seen the spoilers, but you need to play the game, and because there is so much more to it, and I've seen plenty to this. I've seen one spoiler. Unfortunately, it was a major spoiler, a major one, and I saw it. I was annoyed that I saw it. I shouldn't have clicked into the comments. That was my fault. I was still naive at that point. I was thinking there's no way people are going to do this, but they did. And I was stupid enough to believe that they wouldn't. So I saw the leak. But I will say this. Fortunately, it has done nothing to dampen my experience. I will say that the leak, the spoiler that I'm talking about, I will say that the spoiler that I'm talking about doesn't happen at a part of the game where I would be. It doesn't happen at the end. That's all I'll say. The spoiler that I saw does not happen at the end of the game. It happens quite near the beginning, actually. And that made me happy. It made me relieved, because if it was at the end of the game, I would be playing this game waiting for it to happen. Now, even if it was at the end of the game, I was probably still going to enjoy my journey there, because I absolutely love this game. I love the way it plays. I love the characters. I love the story. I love the new characters in the game. I love the way Ellie is in this game. I absolutely adore this girl. I liked her in the original, but I fucking adore her in this. She is, without spoiling anything, she fucking terrifies me. She absolutely terrifies me, and I'm in control of this savage. And I feel safe that I'm controlling her, because in a weird, twisted way, controlling her means I'm safe. In other words, she's on my side. I'm on her side. I'm controlling her. And that's why I feel some sort of comfort in that. She's not after me. I'm not facing her as someone else. I'd be shitting it if I was. And I say that from someone who's only played halfway through it. The game has made me choke up a couple of times. I cried on one or two occasions playing it. Not out loud, obviously. I had tears. The emotions in the faces, the emotion that these characters have is something I have never seen in a video game before. Now, games look incredible these days. You know, look at Uncharted, again, another Naughty Dog game. The facial animations in that are stellar, and I didn't think they would improve on that either, but they did. And The Last of Us Part 2 looks incredible. The facial animations are spot on with real life facial expressions. I haven't seen anything like it. And L.A. Noire doesn't count. They cheated. They used real heads and scanned them in. They used real people talking and scanned them in. An impressive technical feat, sure. But there is something about The Last of Us 2's facial animations that just, it's better because you can see the artist went into more effort to make them as lifelike as possible without using real faces. And you know that they're not using real faces because the face of Ellie does not match the face of Ashley Johnson. And I think that is absolutely incredible that they were able to do that. I absolutely love The Last of Us Part 2. It's fantastic. And if you haven't played it yet and you own a PS4 and you liked the first one and you are on the fence, that you're about to fall back on because you followed the negative feedback, do yourself a favour and fuck those people and get The Last of Us Part 2. Do not wait for a sale. Buy it. You owe it to yourself to play this game because you deserve this game. If you're a fan of The Last of Us, you deserve to play this game because it is for The Last of Us fans. It is amazing. It is incredible. The story is an emotional roller coaster. It's unbelievable. I haven't played a game like it, and I say that about a lot of new games that I've played. Now, Death Stranding was my game of the year last year, and it absolutely was. It was one of my games of the past 5 years, and it will remain up there as one of the best games I've played. But that game, I love Death Stranding because it resonated with me on an emotional level. I love that game because it reminds it. I'm not going to get into it again, but Death Stranding does resonate with me in a certain way. I used that game to cope with grief. Obviously, I'm not using The Last of Us Part 2 to cope with grief, because if you're coping with grief, I do not recommend you play The Last of Us Part 2. But, well, unless you're not like that, you know, but I am, and I can't see myself using this to resonate with me to cope with grief. No chance. Because this game is grief incarnate. This game is horrific. It's the scariest game I've played, and it's weird. It's like, man is scary in this game. Now, there are infected. Of course there are infected. And the infected are scary. But I think it's the humans that are scarier because of their, the way they are, their motivations. Their motivations. What they're motivated by is scary. What they do is scary. If you've seen the early trailers of The Last of Us, that's what they're like. They are terrifying. Humans in this game are almost as scary, if not scarier, than the infected themselves. Now, the infected are just mindless zombies in a way, and that's easy to overcome. Scary when they're in a swarm, but all they want to do is eat your brains. But the humans in the game, they have intentions. They consciously know what they're doing. So what they do is by choice, and that's scary. And I'm actually eager to go back to it now, because I've paused the game to do this podcast because I had a lot to talk about on a lot of things, and it's been now an hour and 20 minutes almost, and I think I have spilled enough beans on all these topics. So, with that said, what I will say is The Last of Us 2 is fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing what the game shows after. There, I've got heartburn again. I'm just looking forward to seeing more of the game, and I'm very excited to see what the ending is. What's next? You know, I want to know if the game ends in a way that will warrant a third game. And if it does warrant a third game, when will we see it? Will we see it in 7 years? I don't know. Probably. We might see it at the end of the PS5's life cycle. But as it stands, even though I'm 15 hours into it and I don't know how far I've got left, but I will say that The Last of Us Part 2, definitely my game of the year so far. I don't even need to play it to the end to have that opinion, because I know I'm going to enjoy it, because I haven't stopped enjoying it. There hasn't been a part in the game where I've been like, I'm getting bored. I have no intention of losing my interest for this game. I cannot wait to see more. I'm buzzing. So I'm going to end it there. And I honestly don't know what I could possibly talk about next week, so hopefully big news happens. maybe we'll get more PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news that I can talk about, hopefully, because I'm really eager to talk about those things again. Yeah. So, I hope I've did this episode justice. I know I was a bit ranty in the first one, but I think it was necessary because we all need to talk about that in regards to the whole abuse in the workplace towards women. Again, I reiterate, I think it's disgusting, and I think it needs to get fixed. We shouldn't be behaving like that. It's not the way, we're not born to behave that way. We are taught to behave that way. And just like racism, we can unteach it. We can learn to tolerate. We can learn to be good to each other. And I fully believe that. Well, with that said, I think I've waffled on enough. And I will take off then, I guess. So, yeah, I'm not really sure how to end a podcast. What I will say is if you enjoy listening to this, and if you've yet to check out my YouTube channel, I suggest you check it out. If you like the sound of my voice, then you'll hear a lot of that on my YouTube channel, so go ahead. You'll see all sorts of stuff, game reviews, let's plays, different opinions, video content. I've got a Twitch channel which I haven't used in a while since lockdown has eased down a little bit, and I'm going back to work soon, so I've not got time to do any live streams. But yeah, so if you're interested, check out my YouTube channel. If you don't, then it's not a big deal. If it's not a big deal if you don't want to stick to these podcasts either. I do all of this to pass the time for me, and I enjoy the sound of my own voice, because otherwise I wouldn't be sitting doing this. You've got to love the sound of your own voice to do stuff like this. If you don't love the sound of your own voice, then you've no confidence there. Then you won't have the confidence to bring the content out. So yeah, of course, if you enjoy the sound of your own voice and you want to put it to good use, this is a good way to do it. So do it. And I think that's all I'm going to say now. So if you enjoyed this, I don't know how to say subscribe to SoundCloud, but if you're listening to this on YouTube, then take a look at my content, and maybe subscribe if you want to see more. Hit the bell. I've got a couple of projects in the works. Hopefully I'm going to have them out as the rest of the year goes on, and I'm hoping to have another Halloween episode out by October again. Not sure what I'm going to review yet. It just depends on which scary game I'm playing during the year. I'm not going to say whether or not it's The Last of Us 2, because I typically don't do brand new game reviews until I've played enough of it. And when I play enough of it, it's years down the line, because it takes me about a year or two to go back to a game that I've just beaten. I'm normally a one and done gamer, but when it comes to games like this, I don't think one playthrough is enough. But who knows? But anyway, with that said, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me waffle on, and I hope I've done it justice. I will improve as the weeks go, hopefully, if I continue to do it. And if you want to see more, you know what to do. So thanks again. This has been Dave talking here on GB Podcasts, which is a part of GB Gaming, where video games come first. Thanks again, and I will catch you on the next one. Have a good day, stay safe, and cheerio.